Why hello everybody, Spencer here, also known as LEGO Dude 11, and in today's video, this is a brand new Star Wars review for you out on the channel, and today I will be talking about the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series that just concluded last week over on Disney+, so without further ado, let's discuss. Alright. So without further ado, as always, I got my list of notes here that I did take down on the full series itself. There are 6 episodes in this show, like most of the other Disney Plus shows, and I will be talking about later in this video what I think works and doesn't work about this series. And there are just lots of things that I'm enjoying about the Disney Plus series, and I think that aren't working, like things that aren't working. Based upon the 6 episodes, but I don't want that to be the main focus of this video. But let's start off my notes here with the score. And this show confused me in a lot of ways, which I'll be talking about more. I was very looking forward to hearing this score, and I don't know what it is. This was one that I was very underwhelmed by, and as I'm watching the different sequences, don't get me wrong. What they did with the music, I love Star Wars, but by the way, Natalie Holt did this soundtrack, did this score. John Williams composed the main theme song for this, which is at the end of the credits, which is awesome. I love listening to that. But that's John Williams. I like his stuff. He's the top tier, and then Michael Giacchino's under him. But Natalie Holt, who did Loki, I'm a big fan of the Loki series. I think she did great stuff in that. I was really looking forward to hearing what she had in this, and it just, like, either I didn't pay attention well enough, it just didn't sound like her stuff. Like, comparing it to Loki, it didn't sound like anything, it sounded, anything I heard in this series sounded like John Williams or something taken out of any other Star Wars movie. Like, it didn't sound like Natalie Holt, and it just sounded like something else. So I was kind of underwhelmed by this score. It's shocking because I like most soundtracks and anything I listen to, and this one just felt like bland Star Wars. That's not an issue. I just didn't feel like it was Natalie. I was looking more looking forward to Natalie Holt's Star Wars than all John Williams. It felt all John Williams, which is not an issue. I just kind of felt like there should have been, I don't know. I don't know. A little bit of a negative subject, but moving forwards, let's get into the cast and the acting. Because I feel like this is what most people are talking about. I felt like most of it was good. Once it got into the 3rd episode, which I'm kind of skipping around here, there was some dialogue that was out of place, and it was, like, not watchable. Specifically with Reva, who is the 3rd sister, if I'm not mistaken, and Leia. Young Leia was one of the highlights of the show. Her and Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, the main guy, which I do want to say right now was one of, like, he felt like he was, like, not the main star of the show, and they wanted to make it Reva and the Inquisitors. Some of the, like, I wrote down my notes on the story and the logic here, which I'm kind of skipping over. I'm kind of just mixing all my notes now, but in the premiere episodes, like, I loved that they had Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader. Bringing him back in that role was great. Even having James Earl Jones' voice come back was a pleasant surprise. I loved how they had that voice in there, and Hayden Christensen in the flashback scenes. Kind of a letdown, even though it was flashbacks, and I'm like, okay, so that's the only time you get to see Hayden Christensen on screen is the flashbacks. Meh. It was cool, but, like, they kept teasing, oh, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are coming back, but this is the only time you get to see him in the flashback moments. It was neat. but yeah. And then the premiere episode. Well, there were two episodes that came out on the premiere day. I love the first episode, and then I loved everything that happened in the first episode. Like, I was blown away. I was really looking forward to this series. The trailers made it seem awesome. They had Duel of the Fates in the trailer, in the first one, and the trailers got me really excited for this series. If you don't know, by the way, I was not a huge fan of the Book of Boba Fett. The ending of Mandalorian Season 2 made that seem like that was going to be a killer show. Ended up it wasn't. Now, this one had high hopes for me. The premiere episode of Kenobi was just fantastic. Episode 2 had that same experience, but was kind of went down, but not by much. And then the third episode just completely went off, and this is where I wrote down the story and the logic here. So, basically, some of the characters in this show who are in the first two, because you don't see Darth Vader right away until the end of the second episode. So, they include the Inquisitors, and if you don't know who the Inquisitors are, they're basically like a Sith. Now, I don't have big knowledge on the Inquisitors. Like, I'm a fan of Star Wars, but I have not seen Rebels. I've only watched 2 episodes. I've watched all of Clone Wars, and then that's where more of my fan base leans into, which is where I wanted them to lean heavily more into this series. And there kind of is that, but like, once you get into the third episode, or not even the third episode, when you first see the Inquisitors, they are menacing. And I was like, yeah. And then by the end of the series, they're just kind of there as like to do something, but they're there to do nothing. And it's like it left me hanging on a thread. Like, so what was their point in the series? Which is kind of the whole question I have. What is the point of this series? And I wanted them more to lean into, who are the Inquisitors, and more of the Clone Wars stuff, because again, I haven't watched Rebels. I forgot to say that. I haven't watched Rebels. It's something I couldn't get into, and there's a bunch of, like, I've seen these YouTube videos of, like, Obi-Wan fights with Darth Vader, Ahsoka, the Inquisitors, which are kind of funny. Like, they have, like, these spinning lightsabers, which they have in Obi-Wan, which are just ridiculous, but at the same time, they're menacing, and I was expecting more. But no, they just go, hey guys, let's have the Inquisitors in this series. Let's be very menacing. And then let's ignore all of, like, who are they, and just let's kill one of them off. Let's have the third sister, Reva, do this completely irrelevant plot, and then bring back the Grand Inquisitor to just say a one line of dialogue that, like, I wanted to see a fight with Obi-Wan. I totally lost his name. Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, and the Inquisitor. Like, have them join the fight, like a big battle, but it left me, like, don't get me wrong, I'm focused on something that didn't even happen in this series. Like, I don't do this a whole lot, like with Marvel or anything, but I was expecting more, and you know, I even wrote down the finale, like my thoughts on the finale. The finale was really nice. It did go back up for me, which I do want to mention my thoughts on it. But the story and the logic, there was something that just really pulled me out, and then, you know, again, the finale pulled me back into it, but at the same time, I'm like, what was the point of the series? So, episode, I don't think it was 3, because, well, by the way, I forgot to mention this, there was something in episode 2, when Obi-Wan is trying to find Leia, or I guess does find Leia, and is helping her. He sees, what's his face? A clone trooper who we all think was Rex, but it wasn't. He was just like a homeless clone, and he is kind of like reminiscing over Rex and how, like, Order 66, and it's very kind of emotional, and I was touched by it, but I wasn't like, oh my god, this is so emotional that I was tearing up, but it was nice to see that. Also, I don't think it was 3. No, 3 was the one where she was captured in the dialogue. That was just completely bad. But then in 4, when there's like this stormtrooper hallway fight scene, and it's a neat battle, but then there's like, oh, this impenetrable fortress, and they're like, this window gets blasted, and then some guy falls out the window, and suddenly it's not impenetrable anymore. That was a stupid. It's like the Death Star. Oh, this thing should have been built better. Star Wars has the most idiotic logic. Not really. But apparently in this series they wanted to include some idiotic logic, because they did. And the lightsaber battles were fantastic. Every time one of them happened, it was great. But what I wanted to see more of, like, I'm kind of just wandering all over the place here, but there seemed to just be, hey, let's do this to get to this place. Hey, my kid ran off. Go rescue her. Okay, I found her. Now there's going to be this random battle. It didn't seem to make any logical sense. Also, like I mentioned, I didn't like the interaction between Reva and Leia. That just felt out of place, and so, like, it didn't have any, like, connection or meaning to it. I just felt like if it had more meaning and connection, I would have been more invested. But it didn't. It just, until Obi-Wan got there and they had this weird battle, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And what was the meaning of that? I didn't understand. But yeah, the lightsaber battles were great. I'm going to kind of go into the finale here, skip over some stuff. By the way, actually, well, I guess this did happen in the finale, so woohoo! So in the finale here, there's, my god, I'm sorry. There's a great battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Again, there's some good music there. I don't really want to talk dread on that, but there's nice musical accompaniment to the battle itself, and they duel it out, and then it cuts away, unfortunately. I'm like, really? What was it? Like, it doesn't even do, like, a good Star Wars cutaway. It just goes, zoom, vroom. It just goes, zoom, boom, to the next scene, and where Reva's trying to find Luke, because apparently she's done with Leia at that point, and Leia's gone, and she's like, oh, maybe I can find Luke, and Luke, because Luke is the one. And Owen and Aunt Beru are there, and they have this nice, like, action sequence with them shooting at Reva, her deflecting the blasts, and Luke's there running away, and it's a great sequence. And then it cuts back to Darth Vader and I almost said Anakin, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, and to add to my frustration, like, I love this action sequence. I love what's happening here, and between both sides, to add to my frustration, Darth Vader's like, ooh, your power has made you weak, or you still have your strength, but you also have weakness, and he just destroys this boulder, or whatever it is, the structure, rock, and he buries Obi-Wan. And I'm like, really? That's what happens to the powerful Jedi Obi-Wan? Now, I guess you could kind of think about it like Rey, like he, or she, kind of got knocked down and then got back up, like, I am all the Jedi, whatever. And he does hear these voices of Anakin, but I'm like, something more should, like, he should have just, like, went all bonanza on this rock and be like, no, like, right away, he gets instantly buried? Like, come on. Again, I'm not hating on it. I like everything that happened, but there's just some weird logic to me. But anyway, ignoring all that, I did love everything that happened. There were some neat moments, but just, like, I felt like Reva should have been developed more, had this better arc, better dialogue between Leia. Also, and the final battle was great. There were some emotional beats here in the finale when he gets back up and Obi-Wan's redeeming himself after he gets buried and is finding him. He slices open Darth Vader's mask and you see him, Obi-Wan, mixed with James Earl Jones's voice. Did I just say Obi-Wan? I meant to say Anakin's voice mixed with James Earl Jones's voice. It's distorted and it sounds amazing. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the finale, hearing that. And then it's kind of emotional. Like, I watched these guys react to it and they were crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? It's not that emotional. But regardless, and he's like, no, Obi-Wan, you didn't kill me, I did. Like, Darth Vader killed Obi-Wan. That was a neat line. I like that, how that kind of was impactful. And then after that whole sequence is over, there's some redemption with Reva, but it just kind of felt like it didn't feel motivational. It just kind of felt like, okay, pointless. Like, okay, sure, so that kid wasn't the one you wanted, now suddenly she's good. It's like, okay, random. I didn't understand. And then, so, I forget what happens first. Oh, yeah. He goes to see Leia, and they have this sentimental moment, rekindling, like always be there, like you'll always be there in my heart, like, because you're a Jedi type of thing, like the Force. And then they leave. They have the Leia music, or like the Force theme, playing in the background, which is really nice. I liked how they did that. And then he goes to see Owen, talk with him, have a little chat about what just happened. And then he's like, do you want to meet Luke? And he walks up to meet Luke, and he's like, hello there. He does the hello there line, and I'm like, that was a great inclusion. If they hadn't done that, I probably would have, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But I like that they include that line there. There were some good, these were some of the good things about the finale there. And also, I forget, I can't remember, I think that Leia interaction happened before Luke, and then I'm going to mention something else here. I don't remember if this sequence happened before the Leia and the Luke interaction, or it may have happened after, but it may have happened before, because I can't remember. I watched the episode yesterday, the day before this recording, so yeah, I can't remember which sequences happened first. But you see Darth Vader and Mustafar, in his castle, which I believe it's his castle. If it's not, I don't know where they were. I believe it was Darth Vader's castle in Mustafar, and he's talking to the hologram of Emperor Palpatine, which, by the way, I just now realized that I hadn't mentioned before, that there are spoilers in this video, and if you have not wanted to be spoiled, you did. So, anyway, I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. I should put like a warning. I'll put in the title of the video, spoiler review, so there you go. But, apologies. Anyway, Darth Vader is talking to the hologram of Palpatine. Now, I haven't personally seen this, but I don't know if people were like, oh my gosh, Palpatine was a hologram, not the actual person, but I feel like it's alright because he was actually having dialogue. Like, if it was just like a poster of Palpatine, or Palpatine was somehow like in the background, not even talking, that would have been a ripoff. But he was actually, he was up and close in the screen, and he had some dialogue, so it kind of made it enjoyable to see him on screen, and made it better for the finale. So he was there, he was talking to Darth Vader. I don't even remember what he said at this point, but he was like, you will rule the galaxy, or something. You will forget all that, leave that in the past. Or he said you are becoming weak. That's right, he said your interactions made you weak. So that was kind of neat to see, and then he to make him a bit stronger as Lord Vader. But yeah, it was nice to see that, and then that happened, and then you see Obi-Wan, after the interaction with Luke, you see Obi-Wan riding a camel to go, I don't even know what he's doing, and then you see Force Ghost appear of Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn. And he says, about time, it's about time, Obi-Wan. And he's like, Qui-Gon says, I've been here the whole time. Obi-Wan's like, really? Like, where have you been? He's like, I've been here the whole time. He's like, you just didn't know it. He's like, hurry up, we've got a long way to go. And he rides off in the distance on a camel. Or some Star Wars creature, I believe it was a camel. And I'm like, got a long way to go for what? And the series just ends with the theme music, and I'm like, okay, season 2? For what? Because I don't think there's a season 2. It leads me to wonder, like, I would watch a season 2, right? With everything I've said here, I have 2 more note things I wrote down. Note things? Part of my notes I wrote down. But, like, which I guess I should just kind of talk about this right now. Does the series work in the future of Star Wars? Like, does the series work in, like, the future of what's going to happen here? So, they tease something's going to happen. My thoughts linger onwards to, okay, are they going to do a season 2 of this? Are they just going to do another series, like, with something with these characters, like Qui-Gon? Like, why would they do a Force Ghost Qui-Gon? Like, I don't understand as to, okay, what are they going towards? Does it mean, oh, this goes into A New Hope? What does this mean? I don't know. I was still left to wonder. I'm still wondering more about the Inquisitor people. Like, I would have liked to know more, unless I watch Rebels and that's how I learn about them, but I'm kind of just going, I want to know more about them. Come on. And this series did none of that, what I really wanted, by the way, there was a flashback, I forgot to mention, all the flashbacks with the Order 66 and the Reva stuff, that was nice, I'd like to see that, but I wanted more Clone Wars tie-ins to, like, Anakin, his development, all this stuff, and this series just felt like an Obi-Wan series without Obi-Wan until you get to the finale, and it was like, there should have been more development with the Inquisitors, and I'm like, I don't... Like, if you're watching this series, right, like, I would rewatch this series over Boba Fett any day, even though I do like the Mandalorian episode in the Boba Fett show. I don't feel like this series worked as Obi-Wan. I feel like this series just worked as, like, a Star Wars spin-off, I mean, which is kind of what it is. But I'm like, okay, you have these Inquisitors, and they're doing something, but they're kind of just pointless. Because you try to kill off one of them, which I already mentioned, but it's just, I don't feel like this series works. Now, the future of Star Wars, I'm quite excited for. And here's the reason as to why. Like this series had its ups and its downs. And something I'm mentioning, probably going to mention in my Ms. Marvel review here, I'm liking the future of Marvel. I need people to stay on board with this, stay on board with the future of Disney and their stuff. I mean, it's all subjective, but I feel people are just like, oh, these Disney Plus series aren't working, oh, this series wasn't good, so I'm done. And it's like, really? Really? You don't know, like, the track record of this stuff? Okay, sure, whatever. But I feel like Boba Fett had potential, this had potential, it was alright. There are things coming down the line that I'm really excited for, that they just announced previously. Like, there's, like, this Acolyte thing coming, we have Taika Waititi is supposed to direct a Star Wars movie. It's supposed to be going to blow our minds. Just other things. John Watts wants to do John Watts wants to do a Star Wars thing. Bryce Dallas Howard, people are saying they want to do that. But there are things. Mandalorian season 3. Let's hope that's good. Whew. Just, I like Star Wars Visions. There's a season 2 coming. There's Andor. There's what's that one called with the Dumbledore dude, the Goonies thing. It's this something, the one in space with kids. But I'm looking forward to this stuff, and I look at this and I go, what was this series? Like, at this point I'm just kind of ranting, but I'm like, this has some potential, which was really, there were some things that were like here, and there's some things that were just down here. This isn't as bad as Boba Fett, let me make that clear. And I would rewatch this series, but I'm looking more forward to Star Wars in the future than I was this. Like, like Andor is going to be 12 episodes with 2 seasons, 24 episodes, 2 seasons, and this I just kind of wonder, what were they doing? What were they doing? Now, Deborah Chow is a really good director, and I don't think Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau did any of this. I don't think either of them did any of this. But the Boba Fett series, I'm like, what happened? And what happened with this? I'm like, come on. So, now, again, some of it was good. There were some redeeming qualities, but other times, like, as a full show, like, I mean, it's kind of like, well, I almost said it's kind of like Falcon Winter Soldier, but it's not. I mean, there were some issues with that. Like, it's kind of like my issues with Falcon Winter Soldier. There were, like, logic problems. There were also different logic problems to Falcon Winter Soldier, but at the end of the day, I don't think this series as a whole worked. There were good Star Wars isms in there, but at the end of the day, it's one I would rewatch over Boba Fett, but very bizarre. Very bizarre at the end of the day. I'm looking more forward to the future of Star Wars than I was this. The trailers made it look like, whoa, yeah, it's still awesome. It's gonna be way better than Boba Fett. And it was like, what? So, yeah, just those are all my thoughts. Those are all my notes. Rating. I will give this series a 6.8 out of 10. I know that's not what you thought I was gonna give it. Just for your guys's FYI, I give Book of Boba Fett maybe a 6. I was trying to think of, like, should I give it a 5? I mean, I don't know. Like, 6 is what I was giving Book of Boba Fett. So 8 points higher than Book of Boba Fett. So that's what I would give it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Maybe a 5 Book of Boba Fett. It was weird. But anyway, I don't want to be negative. There were just, if you couldn't tell, there were some positive things that I really liked. Some negative things about this series. But don't take that the wrong way. I'm looking forward to the future of Star Wars, and I'm still loving Marvel. So stay tuned for what's to come in the future here. I'm looking forward to it. And if you got similar opinions, let me know in the comments below. And if you have, like, if you just enjoyed the whole series, cool. I love it. I loved most of it, but there were just things that were, like, really confusing. Anyway, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to keep up to date on all the latest reviews and customs and other videos, reviews, and vlogs that I do here on the channel. As always, don't forget to keep like, comment, subscribe, and follow me at Boba Fett Jedi Master on Instagram. Links down below. And as always, don't forget to keep calm, play Lego. See you guys next review. Bye, everyone.